In the most remote corners of the planet, there are places that defy logic and imagination. Have you ever heard of an island where the inhabitants see only in black and white? Or a land so isolated that its people reject any contact with the outside world? What about an island surrounded by mystery, where dolls hanging from trees create a dark and unsettling atmosphere? But it doesn't stop there. There are villages where residents shop and swim without wearing clothes, and islands where the inhabitants must live with gas masks to survive. Get ready to learn more about the 10 strangest, most mysterious, and secretive places on the planet. We begin our journey on the remote island of Pingelap in Micronesia, globally known as the Island of the Colorblind. More than 10% of its inhabitants have achromatopsia, a rare genetic condition that makes them see the world only in black and white. This phenomenon not only challenges science, but also reveals a history marked by tragedies and extraordinary adaptations. It all began in 1775 when a devastating typhoon struck the island, leaving only about 20 survivors. Among them was the community leader, who carried the gene for achromatopsia. With such a small and isolated population, the gene was widely passed on to future generations, making Pingelap a unique case in the world. For those affected, life is a journey of adaptation in a world without color. They develop remarkable skills, such as the ability to perceive subtle variations in light and texture, compensating for the lack of color vision. This enhanced sensitivity shapes how they live, work, and connect with their surroundings. The local community also adapts to the needs of these individuals. Schools use methods that do not rely on colors, and the island's architecture prioritizes contrasts and patterns that make navigation easier. It is a remarkable example of collective resilience. Pingelap attracts scientists from around the world interested in unraveling the mysteries of this genetic condition. Their research not only advances our understanding of human vision, but also paves the way for future treatments of achromatopsia and other visual conditions. In the middle of the Indian Ocean, there is an island that intrigues the world with its aura of mystery and absolute isolation. North Sentinel Island. Surrounded by crystal-clear waters, it could be a paradise for tourists, but instead, it is known as one of the most inaccessible places on the planet. The reason? Its inhabitants, the Sentinelese, a tribe that rejects any contact with the outside world. Little is known about the Sentinelese, but their history is marked by resistance. It is estimated that they have lived on the island for thousands of years, preserving their culture and traditions intact without any external influence. They do not speak our language, do not use modern technology, and still live by hunting, fishing, and gathering. Any attempt at contact is met with hostility, as if the island is permanently closed to the rest of the world. North Sentinel Island gained attention after the 2004 tsunami when a team was sent to assess the condition of the tribe. As helicopters flew over the area, they were greeted with arrows and spears, a clear warning that they were not welcome. This event reinforced the image of the Sentinelese as fierce protectors of their land and way of life. Additionally, incidents involving fishermen and adventurers who approached the island ended tragically, leading the Indian government to ban any attempts at contact. The area around the island is protected by law, ensuring that the Sentinelese continue to live without external interference. Now let's talk about Cap d'Agde, located in the south of France, one of the most famous naturist destinations in the world. In this coastal city, living without clothes is widely accepted, with people enjoying this freedom in various places, such as beaches, restaurants, and even supermarkets. The naturist area of Cap d'Agde is a closed community where residents and visitors can live without clothing in a safe and respectful manner, promoting a unique experience of connection with nature. What makes Cap d'Agde so special is the integration of naturism into practically all daily activities. Buying groceries, swimming in public pools, and even enjoying the nightlife are tasks that can be done without the need for clothing, all in an environment where respect for others' choices is fundamental. The city stands out by creating an atmosphere where individual freedom is valued, while maintaining clear rules for respectful coexistence. For many, naturism in Cap d'Agde goes beyond simply being without clothes. It is a philosophy of life that promotes well-being, body acceptance, and harmony with the environment. It is important to highlight that even though naturism is common here, mutual respect between visitors is crucial, ensuring that everyone can enjoy this experience comfortably and safely. A few kilometers from Mexico City, there is a place that intrigues visitors and sparks curiosity: the Island of the Dolls, an unusual setting where dolls of all shapes and sizes are hanging from trees, posts, and scattered across the island. At first, it may seem like just an eccentric place, but the history behind it is what truly catches attention. It all began with Don Julian Santana Barrera, a man who decided to live in isolation on the small island. According to local reports, in the 1950s, Don Julian found the body of a girl who had drowned in the waters of one of the canals. Believing that her spirit spirit remained on the island, he began hanging dolls that he found nearby as a form of spiritual protection and tribute. For him, the dolls served as a symbol to maintain peace on the island and honor the memory of the child. Over the years, Don Julian continued his mission. He would collect dolls from rivers, dumps, or receive donations from visitors. Each one was carefully placed, turning the island into something unique and, at the same time, mysterious. Today, walking through the island, it is impossible not to be surprised by the number of dolls and the peculiar environment they create. After Don Julian's death, the island gained worldwide fame and became a tourist destination. Despite its unusual appearance, the place exudes tranquility and respect. Many visitors go there to try to understand what motivated Don Julian to dedicate his life to such a specific mission. Our next journey takes us to a place that seems to have come straight out of the pages of a mythology book, the Door to Hell, or Darvaza, in the Karakum Desert, Turkmenistan. This gas field has been burning for over 50 years, creating a surreal sight that seems to have come straight out of a science fiction film. The origin of this phenomenon dates back to 1971, when Soviet geologists, in search of oil, accidentally drilled into an underground cavern full of natural gas. The ground collapsed, forming a giant crater. To prevent the release of toxic gases, the scientists decided to set the gas on fire, believing it would burn out in a few weeks. However, decades later, the fire still burns with a hypnotizing intensity. About 70 meters in diameter and 20 meters deep, the crater emits flames visible from miles away. At night, the contrast between the orange flames and the starry sky of the desert creates a sight that leaves any visitor speechless. The heat is so intense that it can be felt even from several meters away. Despite its impressive beauty, the Door to Hell is a challenge for Turkmenistan. As one of the largest natural gas reserves in the world, the country sees the crater as a waste of valuable resources. In 2010, the government attempted to extinguish the fire, but was unsuccessful. For many, the crater has become a unique cultural symbol, attracting tourists willing to venture into the desert to witness this spectacle up close. In the middle of Lake Victoria, in East Africa, there is a small island that defies all expectations, Migingo. Despite its tiny size, smaller than half a football field, the island is considered one of the most densely populated places in the world, a scene of corrugated metal houses stacked side by side, forming a sort of labyrinth on the waters, where hundreds of people share an incredibly limited space. The history of Migingo began modestly. In the 1990s, fishermen discovered the waters around the island, rich in fish such as tilapia and Nile perch, and decided to establish small settlements to explore fishing. Over time, the region's reputation as one of the best fishing spots in Lake Victoria attracted more and more people. Today, the island is a strategic point for the fishing industry, housing fishermen, traders, and even bars and small shops that serve the bustling community. But Migingo is not just fascinating for its overcrowding. The island is also the center of a territorial dispute between Kenya and Uganda, as both countries claim ownership. This controversy often causes political tensions, but for the inhabitants, the priority remains work and coexistence. They live side by side, indifferent to border disputes, focused on the livelihood provided by fishing. Our next stop takes us to a place where people have found a unique solution to cope with extreme temperatures. Coober Pedy, the Australian town that looks like it came out of a science fiction movie, located in the South Australian desert, about 850 kilometers from Adelaide. This small town is globally known as the opal capital. But what really makes it fascinating is how its inhabitants overcame the scorching heat by building an entire life underground. With temperatures that easily exceed 40 degrees Celsius during the summer, Coober Pedy's surface is almost uninhabitable. In the early 20th century, the first miners who arrived in the area began transforming abandoned tunnels into underground homes, known as dugouts. These dwellings offer an ingenious solution to the extreme heat, maintaining a pleasant temperature of 23 to 25 degrees Celsius year-round, without the need for air conditioning. Today, not only homes, but also hotels, churches, bars, and even a bookstore are hidden underground. These subterranean constructions combine practicality and style. The sandstone walls not only isolate the heat, but can also be sculpted into custom designs, creating shelves, niches, and even works of art directly in the structures. Now let's talk about Gaiola Island, a small piece of land surrounded by the crystal-clear waters of the Mediterranean. With its charming appearance, it could easily be one of the most desired destinations in the region. However, the island carries a dark reputation that keeps visitors and residents away. To many, it is known as the Cursed Island due to a long sequence of tragic events that marked the history of its owners. The origin of the mysterious fame of Gaiola Island dates back to the 19th century, when it began attracting millionaires and influential people. One of the first owners mysteriously passed away after acquiring the island, and this sparked a series of events that fueled the mystery. Among its owners were businessmen who went through financial problems, influential figures who faced unexpected difficulties, and families that dealt with unusual situations. Even Gianni Agnelli, the renowned businessman linked to Fiat, had a series of personal setbacks during the period he owned the island. These repeated events over the years fueled the idea that the island brings bad luck to all who become its owners. For the locals, the stories of misfortune and tragedy are not mere coincidences. Many believe that something truly supernatural is involved with the island. Currently, Gaiola Island is uninhabited, visited only by curious tourists or divers attracted by the waters around it. Despite its natural beauty, few dare to stay for long, and no one risks buying it again. In the middle of the San Francisco Bay, there is a place that sparks curiosity and fascination, Alcatraz Island. Globally known for housing one of the most famous maximum security prisons in history, the small piece of land surrounded by cold water seems to carry an air of mystery and stories that intrigue visitors from all over the world. The modern history of the island began in the 1930s, when the government transformed the location into a federal prison for criminals considered extremely dangerous. The island's natural isolation, with its treacherous currents and distance from the mainland, was seen as perfect for preventing escapes. But despite the strict measures, Alcatraz's fame grew much more from its daring escape attempts than from its impenetrable system. One of the most famous cases is from 1962, when 3 prisoners carried out a meticulously planned escape. They used improvised tools to open holes in their cells, created fake heads made of papier-mâché to deceive the guards, and built a raft out of raincoats. That night, they disappeared forever, and to this day, no one knows for sure whether they managed to escape or if the cold waters of the bay were their final destination. This episode became one of the greatest mysteries in American history and even inspired films and documentaries. Today, Alcatraz Island is a national park and one of the most visited tourist attractions in the United States. And to wrap up, let's talk about Miyakejima Island. Located in Japan, this volcanic island is a unique home where wearing a gas mask is more than just a precaution. It is an essential part of daily life. The reason? Mount Oyama, an active volcano that continuously releases toxic gases into the atmosphere, shaping life on the island in an extraordinary way. The history of Miyakejima is marked by chapters of survival and adaptation. Since the early 20th century, Mount Oyama has erupted several times, but the most dramatic occurred in the year 2000. During this eruption, the volcano spewed enormous amounts of sulfur dioxide, making the air practically unbreathable. The situation forced the entire population to abandon the island, which remained deserted for almost 5 years until the gas levels decreased enough to allow for return. Today, although volcanic activity has stabilized, the constant release of gases still represents a daily challenge. Alarms scattered around the island monitor air quality and warn residents whenever toxin levels reach a dangerous threshold. At these times, the gas masks that everyone carries become indispensable to ensure safety. This uniqueness makes Miyakejima one of the most unusual places in the world to live. Additionally, Miyakejima attracts adventurous tourists fascinated by the idea of visiting such a different location where nature dictates the rules. The island is not just a place to live, but a living example of how people can adapt to even the most extreme situations. And the video ends here. Please share your thoughts on the 10 most secret places in the world in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave a like. Your support means a lot to us. Click the video that is appearing on your screen now. I'm sure you'll enjoy the content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.